Ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting from Brooklyn, New York, the epicenter of cool, you're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show. Thank you for joining us, folks. It is All Hallows Eve. That's right, All Hallows Eve. The kids are getting ready to go out and dress up as ghouls, and we are going to bring you one horrifying yet enlightening show tonight with a very special guest. This man is very influential to my work, folks. He really needs no introduction. We have him on the line right now. Legendary researcher and scholar Jordan Maxwell. Let's go to the phone lines and see if he's joined us. Jordan, are you there? Oh, hello, Jordan. Hello. Excellent. We're broadcasting live now. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you for joining us on All Hallows Eve. I love Halloween too.
Time of year. And it's quite an interesting time when you go back into history and see where all of this ideas and belief systems have come from. It's a Celtic Druid celebration, but much of what we in the Western world do is Celtic and Druid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jordan, I heard you state in a recent interview, you stated that words are actually spells. And I thought to myself, this couldn't be more true. Do you know of any words that put together can resonate to form the power of, let's say, a spell or a curse?
Well, I mean, there's books galore have been written on words that are used in rituals and seances and all that kind of thing. I don't really look at the world of the occult to learn from it. I look to learn about it. And so I look at all of the world of the occult, but I'm not really interested in trying any of it, or looking at the specific terms and words which are used in rituals. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the general overall concept of words, how humans form words. And like I said, you form a word with a spell, or you spell it. And so words can be used to deceive. Words are very deadly. As a matter of fact, you put an S in front of the word, and it becomes sword.
Wow.
So, swords are very deadly. You can defend yourself with the words, or you can kill somebody's spirit with a word. You can do all kinds of damage with your mouth and your words.
And Jordan, if you add another S to just the word S, you get an SS, right? That was very evil too.
Yeah, they're still with us today.
Absolutely. We're going to expand upon that later on in the broadcast, but just to talk about words and how you said even to say a word you have to spell it. I mean, a curse word, a word of curse, right? I mean, it's got some significance there.
That's right, and words are even used backwards. We use words backwards and not even realizing it. Like today, we have something in the Middle East called the Suez Canal.
Right.
Suez backwards is Zeus.
Wow.
Zeus spelled backwards is Suez. And so
amazing.
We take these ancient words, ancient gods, ancient concepts, and spray paint them and lacquer them all up and sell them to the public today. And people have no idea where these words have come from and how far back they go and what they mean. And one thing I think is so important that I know that virtually nobody sees. There are a few people who are enlightened enough to realize and see things. That's an interesting word, to realize. To make something real so you truly understand it.
That's
and
right.
one thing that most people don't realize and truly understand is that this world that we live in, this earth that we live on, is filled with. Hold on, just a minute. Hold on. Let me. I'm getting phone calls from all over the place.
Oh, you're very popular today on All Hallows Eve.
Yeah, I've got 2 other shows to do tonight after yours. So.
Well, thank you very much for being on, Jordan. It's
right.
incredible to have you on.
Okay, and hold on just a minute. Hold on.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. It is All Hallows Eve. We're joined with an amazing guest. This is literally the Super Bowl of symbolism going down right now. Jordan Maxwell, occult researcher, just scholar extraordinaire, joining us on the phone talking about words.
I'm sorry.
And he's back. Hey, Jordan, we were talking about the power of words. What do you mean by the power of words? I'm stating that, but do you mean that just by saying something a certain way, you can manifest it, whether good or bad?
Well, what I was going to say, and because when you mouth a word, it's a vibration.
Yes.
And so vibrations are very important. That's the way so many things have gotten done. As a matter of fact, the Hindus say that's the way the whole world got here, by vibration. So, but what I was going to say is that there is a magical system which is promoted by and feted by and caused by a spiritual presence on the earth. I don't know how far out into space it may go and where it may have come from, and there may be a lot bigger story there, but for the earth and for us, there is a spiritual presence on this earth.
Absolutely.
Which is highly intelligent, which can be extremely evil, very, 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 very destructive and evil, but it's intelligent, and it is not a nebulous thing. It is actually individual personalities in the spirit world. And so just because you don't see them does not mean that they don't exist.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
ancient peoples called them, like in the Islamic world, they're called jinns.
Right.
Christians call them angels, demons, and devils. Today, scientifically we talk about poltergeists and spirits, dark spirits. But these, whoever and whatever this is that we're talking about, which is not of our world, but does coexist with us on this planet, unfortunately, humans go about their daily life doing what they do and do not see the presence of other life forms here.
Oh, they're completely oblivious.
Yeah, totally oblivious, and so much of what is going on in the world today, the chaos and the demonic stuff that's happening with murder and violence and raping and pillaging and the destruction of human life, is all being orchestrated by some things or some ones which are not of our physical world.
Now, let's talk about that, Jordan, because today is a very special broadcast, All Hallows Eve. All Hallows Eve, to me, is Halloween. It's Samhain. It's these druidical rituals. Now, I'm thinking Halloween goes way back. I mean, it's in Old English, All Hallows means the Feast of the Saints, but literally, I mean, this goes back to ancient, the Aztec, where they had Quetzalcoatl, the reptile snake god. They had that, and then they had the Egyptians and their beliefs of the netherworld and life after death and reincarnation.
all of them did, including the Mexicans today. Once a year, they have their
Dia de los Muertos.
celebrations about when they celebrate the dead, and it's the Day of the Dead, where they are able to communicate with their dead ancestors, and it's a special day, just like similar to Halloween.
And it continues. It continues today, right, Jordan? I mean, do you think that the children trick-or-treating symbolizes basically like child sacrifice? I mean, literally dressing them up for the golden sacrificial bull, the ancient deity?
All of that is connected. All of it's connected. I'm quite sure there's a lot of that too.
Wow.
But also the idea of the trick-or-treat was also encompasses the idea that the spirits, some of them are good and some of them are bad, and some of them are very bad, and some of them are extremely good. But when the spirit entities, whoever they are dealing with us in the physical world, they can be very, very mischievous and be very vindictive and trick you and make you think that they are your friend, then at the last moment trick you and laugh at you from the other side of the veil, that
right.
You don't see them. And so it's like a trick-or-treat. And the idea was that you serve the spirits, and maybe they will be good to you. Maybe they will do something good for you. But don't count on it. Most likely it's going to be a trick instead of a treat.
Absolutely.
And so we still, like I said, we still honor those ideas and concepts because there's something to it.
Right.
There really is something to it.
Have you ever seen any ghosts, Jordan?
Well, I've seen a lot of things. Yes, I don't know if I would call them ghosts.
Right.
I've seen spirits many times. I've seen spirits in my bedroom. I've seen some incredible things with my own eyes that I don't like to talk about because people are going to immediately assume you're crazy.
Well, I'll tell you this, Jordan. I got a story for you since it's Halloween, and I've heard a lot of your stories. I've followed your career for a while, but here's one of mine. I was traveling to Austin, Texas, and in the sky, I saw a huge apparition, would look like a horned bull formed out of a cloud formation. Now, I try to reason with myself, like, it was just a cloud formation. But then I went and I looked it up, and warning clouds are actually in the Bible. They speak of clouds of warning. So to me, it looked exactly like the horned bull, Moloch. It really freaked me out. That's a scary story from me.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm sure things like that happen all the time.
In a ghost town, too. It was in a ghost town.
There's a book out that you really need to know about, and anyone who's interested, and there's not many people who are interested in the world of the occult, the dark world,
right?
That they don't see. Not many people are interested in that because it has nothing to do with anything of real importance, like Paris Hilton or the ball games of basketball or anything that's important to people nowadays. But if you are a little bit above that mentality and you realize that there's something going on in the universe that doesn't include you, you need to get a book called The Complete Works of Charles Fort, F-O-R-T. The Complete Works of Charles Fort, F-O-R-T. That is the most extraordinary book. It was given to me by someone who was not of this world back in 1959 when I was first come to California.
Wow.
I was 19 years old. And I'm just telling you that it's the most extraordinary book you're ever going to read about the world of the occult. Because what this man did, Charles Fort, very famous in his day, he went to libraries all over New York and God knows everywhere else, and he collected all of the stories and documented and footnoted all of the stories of things which have happened on this earth in which there was no explanation, period. That's important. strange phenomena and things which have happened on the earth in which there is no possible explanation at all. And therefore science does not touch it. Scientists don't even look at it because there's no way to explain it. And therefore, if a scientist were to look at the facts of what actually happened and not know how it happened and not be able to explain it, he'd look like an idiot.
Absolutely.
So therefore, instead of showing yourself to be stupid, don't even look at it. This way, you don't have to look like a moron because you don't understand what's going on. Don't even look at it. Turn your head and look the other way and act like it never happened. And now you can go on and present yourself to the world as one of the great world's authorities on something. Because if you look at the things that have happened that there's no explanation for it all, you're going to look like what you actually are, a dimwit who is parading himself around as a scientist.
Absolutely, Jordan. Now, I'll tell you, I'm going to look into that book by Fort, but I tell you, a book that doesn't leave my desk ever is a book that you helped co-author, and it was Symbols, Sex, and the Stars. I mean, this book is incredible.
Oh, it is.
It literally is
no doubt
just
about it.
A masterpiece. I have it, you could ask my wife, I have it by my desk as a reference 24/7, Jordan. 24/7. It does not leave my sight. It's become my own little personal Bible.
Yeah, it is magnificent.
And I wanted to ask you, there's so much sexual symbolism in the Catholic Church. I mean, it's incredible. I was looking at some of your...
Actually, there's so much sexual symbolism in all religion. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are all based on sex and astrology.
Absolutely.
That is the basis for all religion in the world we have today, connected to Islam, all the different variations of Islam, Christianity, all the different so-called Christian religions, and Judaism is cram-filled with it. Astrology and sex are the two legs on which all three of those religions stand, period.
Tell me about it. I was looking at your Facebook page, the Maxwell Files, and I stumbled across a couple of pictures that were very interesting. I mean, you saw the Virgin Mary basically depicted as a clitoris.
Yep.
It was,
I'm telling you, it's
crazy.
And actually also, you need to know this too, that Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are all traced back to their parent religion, which was Hinduism. The Hindus gave birth to Christianity, they gave birth to Judaism, and they gave birth to Islam. All three can be traced directly back to Hindu.
Jordan, that's very interesting because, I thought something a little different. I thought it was Zoroastrianism.
Well, Zoroastrianism, like everything else, anytime you're fixing a big dinner, you're always going to add in a little of this and add in a little of that, and eventually,
part of the spell.
It accepted the three religions commingled, and each one got something from the other. And Zoroastrianism is a very big, important part of Christianity, Judaism, and it also has something to do with Islam. But I'm saying if you go back to day one, go back to the very beginning, before it started eclectic, the word is eclectic when it begins to pick up other ideas and bring them into the religion. All three religions can go back to India. I mean, and when we hear, and here's another point on that, is that we're told that Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are Abrahamic religions. All three claim Abraham as their father. Well, first of all, there was no Abraham as a man. The man never existed. There was no Abraham. And so when you go back into the history of the Jewish religion or Abrahamic religion, you'll find that it goes back to India, and that there was a priesthood that still exists today. There was a priesthood in India a long time ago called Brahmins, and the Brahmins were they were the the most important, I'm trying to say it correctly, the most important priesthood in the ancient India. Brahmins were very, very superior to everyone. They had nothing to do with the ordinary common people. They looked down upon the common people as untouchables. They were cattle. They were like swine, the normal people. So if you were a Brahmin, you were a very special priesthood that had nothing to do with the common people. They were all a bunch of dogs and animals.
Well, Jordan,
So,
if they were Brahmin, I just wanted to ask you, if they were Brahmin, would they somehow be, did they think themselves to be descended to maybe higher beings, such as the Elohim, or?
Well, they just assumed that they were, I'm sure that they probably assumed themselves to have been connected to the ancient gods.
Right.
We can get into that. But the point I'm making is that the Brahmins gave us the word a Brahmin. You put an A in front of it because a Brahmin.
Amazing.
And therefore, a Brahmin, and if you go back into the books of Genesis about Abraham, that was not his name. His name was Abram. Abram later on had his name changed to Abraham, but originally his name was Abram. And so you put an A in front of Brahman, it becomes Abram or Abraham. And his wife in the Old Testament, his wife was Sarah. Well, in India, there's a very spiritual, very, very important river called the Saraswati River that the Brahmins held to be very sacred. And so it was the Abraham and Saraswati River. So today we have Abraham and Sarah. No, Abraham and Saraswati River. It goes back to India. There was no Abraham. But I'm saying also that there was no Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob, because Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is Brahman, Vishnu, Shiva. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, or Osiris, Isis, Horus, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. It's always a triune God. It's always three. Exactly. That's why you have the three major religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Why is it divided into three major religions? Because the number three is very important in the ancient Brahmin system and in the ancient prehistoric and ancient systems of religion.
Wow.
So I'm just saying that when you're looking at religion, you need to go back as far back in history as you can possibly go with records and begin to see where the ideas and belief systems have come from, how they mutated or evolved, and how they come down to us today. So that I'm saying that everything you read in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam is based on Hindu, but all of its teachings in those three religions are so filled with mythologies, other ideas, and been thrown in. It's a very eclectic way of doing things because Islam picks up all kinds of ideas from other cultures and weaves it into their religion. So does Christianity, and so does Judaism.
Absolutely.
It's just an amazing story about how these things have been cooked up over thousands and thousands of years. And of course, young people today, being born today, when you're born into the culture, you don't think about the fact that you could have been born in China. Had you been born in China to a Chinese family, you would have been born into that culture.
Exactly.
And you would have had those belief systems, unless, of course, you had been born in Russia, then you would have those kind of customs and ideas and belief systems. Unless, of course, you were born in Africa and the jungle, you would have a different viewpoint on religion.
Again, it's your social environment determines who you are.
Period. That's
Period.
it.
Absolutely.
And I've had some of the most powerful people in the world that I were friends with. I'm talking about very powerful people, and one of them was a very, very important Jewish man, far more important than you will ever, than I can mention. And he said to me, Jordan, when it comes to religion, I much prefer listening to you because I was born an Orthodox Jew. But that doesn't mean I know what I'm talking about. That means that that's who I am because that's the culture I was born into. But that doesn't mean I know anything. I'm just telling you what I happened by chance to have been born into an Orthodox Jewish family. I don't know what it means, really. I don't know where it comes from. And so I said, well, I appreciate that. And I said, and he was a very powerful lawyer. And he said, and so I told him, when it comes to law, I understand law, international law, maritime law. I understand the world of law, but when it comes to law, I would much rather, leave it to you. You're the lawyer, not me. So I know your subject and you know mine. But
that's right. The Talmud is basically a book of laws. That's why a lot of I think the best lawyers are Jewish, definitely. Jordan, I recently discovered I was Sephardic, and I have ancestors that were basically assaulted by the church during the Inquisition. So, I mean, it's incredible. I've gone back in time. I've done my history, and I know exactly who my enemy is in this present day and time. And it's really an incredible thing.
There's a connection there. There's a connection between what happened back in World War I, World War II, what's going on today, the wars in the Middle East. It all has to do with something that happened a long time ago in the Middle East. It's still there.
Absolutely. And, so many people, they want to say it's a Jewish coup d'etat. They want to say it's a Jewish conspiracy. Well, you know what? I don't buy that. A lot of these kindergartners out there that are saying they're awake, I'm referring to ignoramuses. They want to say that the Rothschilds are Jewish. They converted later on in life. My wife has a friend who married into the Rothschild family, and she'll testify that they were Anglo-Saxon Protestant. That they were not. They converted later on to Judaism. So that's an absolute fallacy, isn't it, Jordan?
Yeah. Well, look at. You need to go back and look at this whole subject of. I go way back, and I don't even know if we can get into it tonight, but I go way back on this subject. First of all, I have Jewish friends all over. My mother was Jewish, but I have Jewish friends. I've never even thought of myself as Jewish. It means nothing to me. But and because I grew up in a Catholic household. Right. And that's my family.
So did I.
Catholic, but my mother, was Jewish. So that makes me Jewish. But I don't relate to any of that because I understand the history of where all of this stuff comes from. And so there's a bigger story here about religion, about Judaism. Bigger story. And there's a bigger story about Islam. There's a book, there's a 2-volume set book that you really need to have about Islam. It's probably the most definitive work I have ever seen done anywhere on the earth. It's an incredible book, and you can get it. If you want to do it now quickly, you can get it still free on the web as free ebook. And it's called Moon, Moon, then hyphen, and the letter O, then a hyphen, and theism, the word theism, monotheism. Moon hyphen O hyphen theism. Monotheism is about 13 to 1,500 pages between the 2 volumes, 750 apiece, something like that. Huge volumes. But it's the most incredible book I've ever picked up on Islam because it examines every tiny facet of Islam, where it came from, where the symbols, the words, the terms, the language, the culture, where the entire religion actually, in fact, comes from, what it actually means, what it's actually saying. And it's an extraordinary book for research, and the incredible part is you get it for free. Just download it, Monotheism, and just download both volumes.
I'm doing it right now. We're doing it right now as you speak, Jordan. Now, Jordan, speaking of Islam, I know there's a secret society, Islamic secret society called the Fruits of Islam, and I was under the impression that it was the Jesuits that helped write the Quran. Is there any validity to that?
Yeah, I'm sure that the Catholic Church, the Vatican, was very much a part of founding of Islam. There is now research has been done, and some of the very important Islamic authorities writing, especially in Europe, are talking about the fact that Muhammad, in fact, never lived. There was no man named Muhammad
Right.
who ever lived. It may be like Christianity, talking about Jesus did this and Jesus did that.
Jesus, Mithra, Dionysus. I mean,
Yeah,
you
that's
explained
what
it
I'm
all
talking
in
about.
Zeitgeist.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that it's not just zeitgeist. That's history. Go to a library and get a book on the history of Christianity, and you will see that in the Roman Empire at the time that Christianity was developing, we're talking about a couple of thousand years ago, that when Christianity was developing in the Roman Empire, there was a major religion in the Roman Empire already there. And that religion was called Mithraism. Most Christians do not realize that Rome had already had a major religion going in the first century, the time that Jesus would have been here, and it was called Mithraism. And Mithra was referred to as God's son. He was the son of God. He died on a cross. He was dead for 3 days and rose. He had 12 helpers and 12 followers. And you go to the encyclopedia and look up Mithraism and read all of the story about the god Mithra, and you will see it's the identical same story of Jesus.
Absolutely.
So that's how Christianity got to be so important, because it was already here. It's already in the empire called Mithraism. So later on, they just changed Mithra to Jesus and keep the same identical religion with the same identical teachings. And therefore, it's referred to today as the Roman Catholic religion. But what people don't realize is the word Catholic is a Latin word, which means universal. All over the world, universal is Catholic. Therefore, air is Catholic, water is Catholic, stupidity is Catholic, people are Catholic, dirt is Catholic, because all of these things exist all over the world, and that's what the word in Latin means. Catholic simply means worldwide, all over the earth, universal, it's everywhere. And
Right.
so Rome, you put the word in front of Catholic, Rome, so it's the Roman universal world religion. And we would call it Christianity. No, it's a Roman universal religion. It's called the Imperial Cult of Rome. The Roman religion today we call Christianity. Vatican, Rome, the Holy Father, Pontifex Maximus. So when you're looking at the Vatican and the Catholic Church and Christianity in general, you're looking at a Roman religion, Mithraism, the cult of the emperor, the Holy Father, and the very word Pope goes back to Papa.
Right.
And Papa, in the ancient languages of Europe, in that ancient language, Papa meant a door. Well, in point of fact, your Papa and your Father is the door to life.
Wow.
You walk through the door of life through your Papa, okay? But doors need to have a hinge to be able to open. So the word hinge in Latin is cardinal. So
Right.
you have a cardinal point on the zodiac, a cardinal point on a map, because cardinal means a hinge. So the cardinals are the hinges for Papa, the Pope, to open the door to you to the Roman universal world religion, which is based on Mithra, which comes from the the ancient religions of the ancient prehistoric world. So there's nothing really Christian about Roman Catholicism, but then, of course, there's nothing really Christian about the Protestant Christian religion. Nothing. Because the Protestants were merely protesting the Roman religion. And they wanted to have other ideas and concepts brought in, but they kept the same basic pattern, Christianity.
Right.
So now you have Catholic Christianity and Protestant Christianity. Then when it comes to America and the Britannia, now you have Jehovah's Witnesses, Christadelphians, Mormons, Seventh-day Adventists, Worldwide Church of God. You have all of these other cults that have broken off of the Protestant Christianity. Bottom line is, after everything's said and done, there is no real legitimate Christianity on the earth today because it can be traced back to the Roman Empire, and the actual religion, which should be being practiced today by all mankind, has been completely hidden from the world of mankind, and that's why there's so much chaos, so many problems and troubles and heartache.
Well, they propagate the chaos. They propagate the chaos, Jordan, with the television.
Well, of course.
It's literally a weapon.
Of course, but it keeps people busy. You know,
Yes.
I talked with a lady one time who was a very high official in the Democratic Party, and she said, and she even mentioned this one time on radio. I heard her talking about it. She said, in the Democratic Party, at the very top, you are taught, you understand that you must keep the people in chaos. You must keep them fearful. Something terrible is going to happen next week. Something horrible is coming next month.
Right.
You've got to keep the people agitated and worried, sick, and because that way they don't have time to think about what's really going on.
That and they got to
Really
keep the people in debt, because in Babylon, the masters knew that if they kept their people in debt, they would work harder.
Well, of course, that's what even the British have said. That was a British term.
Yes.
Keep the people poor, because they become more controllable, and they work harder. They have to keep working harder to stay up. You know, to stay alive, they have to work harder. So if you start letting them be and giving them what they work for, then they will become lazy.
Right.
So the best way to keep people from becoming lazy is to make them starve, so they'll work harder.
Wow.
It's just an idea. It's just a concept of how to trick people into working harder and making more money for you.
All right. No, I remember a talk we had a year ago, close to 2 years ago. I mean, you're basically bought and spoken for from the minute you're born with the Social Security. Now, Jordan, you mentioned all these terms such as the Empire, Roman Empire, and I'm thinking Star Wars. And, it's fitting because not only is there a new Star Wars film coming out, but you were actually, I believe, an advisor to George Lucas. Can you tell us about that?
No.
What happened?
No. Some people took the picture I've had out there. I have lunch with Michael Eisner, the president of Disney, and George Lucas and a bunch of other people on that level. I had lunch with them out at a special party, but I, in fact, never ever had anything to do with George Lucas's work at all. I admired his work, and we talked about it over lunch. But I, in fact, never worked with him at all. But that doesn't mean I couldn't.
Right.
I never. As a matter of fact, when I first met him at the party, when it was a kind of like it was a very open place, and you had food everywhere. So you pick up whatever food you want and go find a place to sit down and have dinner. Well, they had these big, long wooden tables, what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? anyway, these long tables, and pick up your food and go sit someplace. So I picked up what I wanted, and I went over to this long table, lots of people there, and sat down because it's an open spot. And as it turned out, I'm sitting right next to, on my right-hand side, Michael Eisner, the president of Disney, and directly across from me was George Lucas. And there were many other very big names there also. And so I'm sitting here having lunch with them, talking, and George Lucas said to me, he said, he introduced himself, I shook his hand, and I told him my name, and he said, Jordan, you've got a book, it's a red-covered book, and something about the church doesn't want you to read. And I said, yes, I do. And I said, I'm very happy that you know about that book. And he said to me, I don't read a lot because I don't have time, but I pay other people, to do that kind of research for me.
Right.
But my wife particularly made me read your part in that book. She got the book, and she was reading the stuff you were talking about in the book, and she made me sit down and read your part. That's why I remember the name so well, because I don't read that much. I have other people doing it, but I did read your part, and I was very impressed with that. And he said, "Do you have a business card?" And I did. I gave it to him, and then Michael Eisner at that. I asked, "Well, what are you talking about?" So then George Lucas and myself were telling Michael about religion and all the stuff I was into. So I was very delighted to be able to have lunch with the two of them and everybody else that was there. But in point of fact, no, I never worked with him. I would love to. I would love to do that.
Well, I'm sure they took notes, Jordan, because I see so much occult symbolism in Star Wars, and I know you do too.
Well, yeah. There's occult symbolism
everywhere,
coming directly from me in a lot of motion pictures, especially
I believe it.
in National Treasure 1 and 2 and Da Vinci Code. A lot of stuff in there came directly from me.
I wanted to ask you this though. I mean, the deity. I'm sure you've seen the little green guy in Star Wars, Yoda.
Yeah, Yoda.
I have seen him depicted in Eliphas Levi. Levy literature. I mean, he's a Rosicrucian deity. Yoda is.
That's right. That's exactly right. And one of my dearest friends in this world was Manly P. Hall, and Manly Hall put out a book in which it's called what was it called? The Secret Teachings of All Ages, and in it, a beautiful color picture of little Yoda, and he's explaining who he is.
Wow. Now, could the Jedi be or symbolize Freemasons?
I suppose so, and probably a particular faction of Freemasonry. Like I said, Manly P. Hall was one of the foremost authorities on the earth and of the occult world. I don't think there was ever a man on the earth that was as brilliant and as profoundly wise and well read as Manly Palmer Hall.
Oh yes, and, his works on Babylon. You could take a drink of water if you want, Jordan.
Yeah, I know that.
No, but his work with Manly P. Hall's work with the whole Babylon series. I mean, I play that from time to time on the station. I mean, it's pretty riveting.
Is that who did that Babylon series? Who did that?
No, not Bill Cooper, but I mean, he did a lecture, I believe Manly P. Hall did on the ancient origins of Babylon that I like to listen to in particularly. But
most important thing in my book that Manly P. Hall did for people today to hear is if you go on his website, manlyphall.org, manlyphall.org, there are 8 90-minute lectures on astrotheology.
Right.
Those are the most, that 8 90-minute free, they're free, just go there and listen to them, are the most important 8 lectures I've ever heard anybody do in this world. It's the most important stuff ever.
Absolutely.
And
Good,
in that,
groundbreaking.
he explains all of the stuff that's going on in the concepts and ideas in Judaism, Christianity, all the belief system, where they really come from. It's manlyphall.org. Very simple.
And they have I'm out here in Brooklyn, New York. They have a museum. I know they have the Philosophical Research Society in Los Angeles back there with you, but they have a museum, the Manly P. Hall, here in New York as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Manly Hall was a very close friend of mine. When he passed away, he left me all of his research journals as a gift to me. I was shocked and amazed when the president of the university called and said, I knew that Manly had passed, and he said, well, Manly Hall wanted you to have something as a token of his friendship, so come pick it up. And I asked him, what is it? He said, no, just come pick it up. Well, I drove up from San Diego that very day.
Right.
And he left me his entire collection of his research work, left it to me. And I was just amazed. That's priceless, absolutely priceless.
It truly is.
It was priceless, and he left it to me. But it's gone now. Somebody burned everything I owned. I had it in a warehouse.
Oh my God!
Burned the warehouse down.
I heard about that last year. I heard you were having some problems, Jordan. And I really hope and pray things are going well for you, and people are listening. If you're tuned in, ladies and gentlemen, buy his books. Go to JordanMaxwellShow.com. Donate. Do everything you can, because this is a rare gem. He's a true cavalier in the world of occult symbolism, folks. I mean, you wouldn't have El Gran Montalvo right here if it wasn't for forefathers like Jordan Maxwell in the occult research world. So that's my plug.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, but if you go to Jordan Maxwell, that's Jordan like the river Jordan Maxwell show, Jordan Maxwell show.
Right.
Because there is a JordanMaxwell.com, but that one doesn't belong to me. That was stolen from me. And so don't go there. JordanMaxwell.com, leave it alone. It belongs to criminals who stole it from me.
They hacked my old website, Jordan. I know how you feel. They steal things all the time, don't they, those bastards?
Yeah, well, that's all right. What goes around comes around. They'll get there soon. But anyway, if you go to JordanMaxwellShow.com, you will see at the top, you'll see on the banner that says Research Society. What that is that's my new website, and I just call it a Research Society. It's just my new website to replace the one that was stolen from me. So I'm downloading all of my work, all the many years of documents and ideas and concepts and systems and where they come from and words and terms and symbols into a whole new website. It's brand new. And so if you want to join, it's right there. Go to Jordan Maxwell Show and you will see Research Society. Click on it and join. I'm pouring in all kinds of stuff over the years that I've been collecting, and so I want to put the stuff out there. But incidentally, I do not intend to put my work out into the public any longer. Right. I intend to do what I'm doing now is I'm putting it into a research club, so to speak, a research society of sorts, meaning that I am keeping it private. You have to join to be a part of what I'm doing, because I've been giving stuff away since 1967, giving away all the documents, knowledge, and everything, and I've never gotten anything for it. And now at 75 years old, I can't even afford to keep my website going. So I decided to take my work off the public. I mean, there's enough stuff out there already on YouTube and on the web about me and my work. Right. So if you want to get in on my work today and what I'm doing and downloading all the stuff that I'm into, then just join the Research Society. That's all I would say.
Absolutely. And I'm joining today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm join Jordan Maxwell's Research Society. Jordan, I would like to have you on the broadcast as much as possible. I think we're a great duo. I have a premium outlet with TalkStream Live, very high number of top 50. So people are listening. I mean, they've been listening to you, they're listening to me, and I really would like to bring you on more often.
Well, let's do it as a regular thing then. I don't care.
Oh man, talk about a dynamic duo. Now we got some more time left. I mean, how much time do you have left, Jordan? Would you like to do maybe another 30 minutes with us?
Yeah, we could do another 30 minutes. I have a show at 7:30.
Excellent,
So
great. Well,
we
let's go back to Star Wars again and the symbolism that's in Star Wars. I see one of the main antagonists, and that's Darth Vader. I mean, to me, he symbolizes the Nazis. Say that trench coat, the cape. He looks like Goebbels to me, or something.
Yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of that is in there. There's a lot of stuff in Star Wars, but the main thing that I thought about Star Wars is the very name.
Yes.
Wars in the Stars, Star Wars. And that's in fact what's going on. There's something going on out there in our galaxy, in our solar system. Our other planets in our solar system we're finally getting some people to tell us something about what's going on in our own solar system.
Right.
And when you begin to look at our planets closest to us, there are all kinds of things that we didn't know, implying that there is other life forms here in our solar system. I've talked with scientists, very, very well-established scientists at NASA. I'm not going to give their name because they're in trouble now because they've talked too much. But they talked with me privately up in San Francisco, and they were talking about what we know. What happened was that the scientist comes walking up to me in San Francisco. I was speaking at a conference there. And he said, "Jordan, I've come here to talk to you. I'm not interested to attend this conference, but I came here to talk to you." He said, "Because you've been talking a lot about the planet Saturn in mythology and religion. I wanted to tell you, since you're here in my area, I wanted to tell you a few things about Saturn that we at NASA know that nobody's ever heard." And he began telling me some of the strangest stuff about the planet Saturn, and that basically that the planet Saturn is inhabited.
Right.
There's life forms there. We know they're there because we've seen them. And then the North Pole of Saturn is a hexagon, and we've seen large ships. One in particular, very large ship. He said it's estimated to be about 3,200 miles wide from Los Angeles to New York. Well, that's how big this thing is. And it is creating another ring around Saturn because the rings around Saturn are artificial. They're not normal. Somebody's making those rings. And there's a ring being made right now as we speak. And it's almost completed. And so they've got pictures as they flew by Saturn. They've got pictures of this huge ship that's estimated to be 3,200 miles wide, creating another ring around Saturn. And it's almost done. They can see where it started, and now it's almost connected, but it's not yet connected. And so they know. And then he said we've seen and got pictures of ships going into Saturn, actually going into the planet, not landing on the planet, but going into it. Right. And ships coming out of the planet, coming out of and going into. So we know there's activity there on Saturn. What it is, who it is, we don't know. But there's activity there. That should tell you something. And then, of course, when you look at the surface of Mars and begin to see the incredible stuff that we...
Oh, you see infrastructures.
The infrastructure
Yes.
of Mars. the glass tunnels.
Satellites even.
Yeah, it's incredible. The stuff that is on Mars that obviously is not natural. Somebody made them. And so now we begin
blue
to
skies.
Look at,
They even have blue skies on Mars.
Yeah, but my point is, it's highly intelligent out there, and they're on Mars. We know that for a fact. We've seen too much. They're on the moon. We've seen that too much. There's life on the planet Saturn. We've seen that. So basically, what I'm saying is that our solar system is alive and teeming with life forms which are far superior to us, highly intelligent, and far superior to us because they can do things we can't do. And so it all implies that these are the same intelligences that have given us our religions and our philosophies and our mythologies of our religions. Where did all of these stories come from? Well, it goes back to the ancient world, when this world, and even today, but this world has been occupied by higher intelligences. We call them demons or gods or
archons,
or whatever you want to call
Nephilim,
them.
archon.
Yeah, Nephilim. Right. In the Mormon religion, if you look at the Nephites and the Mormon books and magazines, you'll see pictures of what they call the Nephites. And the Nephites are huge, enormous, overly normal human, large, huge guys, big, huge, enormous.
Like the Amalek.
Exactly. And so, but Nephites, well, Nephites, put that for the word Nephilim. Nephilim.
Yes.
The Nephilim were the offspring of the fallen angels with humans. That's a whole story you can go into for hours on that subject. And so,
right.
People
it truly
do not know
is.
how to read any of this stuff.
It truly is a intergalactic star war. And
That's right.
Jordan, I was looking at. I like to look at the symbolism or the predictive programming from Hollywood, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. Just wanted to mention in the new Star Wars movie, the symbol of the Sith, who I believe represent the Jesuits, is actually a Vatican Knights of Malta cross. I mean, the lightsaber is a Knights of Malta cross. I was blown away when I saw that symbolism.
Well, first of all, you need to understand that ABC or Disney bought ABC.
Yes.
Disney is filled to the brim. I'm talking about filled to the brim with Illuminati occult symbolism, words, and it's just pouring out.
Yes.
Pouring out into the world occultism on a level and amounts and a level that's unbelievable.
Well, they talk about the magic of Disney.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's really very dark.
Yes.
I'm talking about something different than just slipping in symbolism of ancient religions and all that kind of thing. No, I'm talking about something different. What I'm talking about is a profound, awesome outpouring of seditious, incredible propaganda based directly on the Illuminati symbolism from the 1700s, the dark occult symbolism going back into the devil worship and demon worship, going back into the Middle Ages. I mean, there's a lot of very, very powerful, scary stuff going on at Disney and ABC that people just don't know about. They don't see it.
Jordan, they literally have 666 on the Disney logo.
No, that's what I'm talking
And
about.
right in the castle, I've seen so much symbolism. I mean, from Isis and the pillars of masonry, both Jacking and Boas. I mean, it's all over their work.
Well,
It's sexual symbolism. I mean, when I was a kid growing up, I saw The Lion King, and I didn't notice it right away. But Simba goes and he lays down on the grass, the lion Simba, and from the embers or the dust where he lays down on the rock, they go up into the sky and they spell up sex.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And that goes into the subconscious. I mean, Walt Disney even had a personal relationship with, I believe it was J. Edgar Hoover, and he was even being brainwashed or mind controlled at military bases like Lookout Mountain or Laurel Canyon. I mean, these places in Hollywood that are part of the druidical occult, just cabal.
Yeah, well, I lived in Los Angeles, and
Yeah, me too.
Studio City was walking distance to me, and Laurel Canyon. That's a whole story in itself. Laurel Canyon and Studio City in the outskirts of Los Angeles, out in the valley, it's called, and that's where Nazism was born. We think that Nazism was a creation of the Germans during the Second World War, and point of fact, no, that's not true at all. Nazism was born in Studio City in Los Angeles. It was born there. That's where it was created, up on Laurel Canyon and Mulholland.
Right.
Up near the Mulholland and Laurel, where Laurel crosses Mulholland, was a hotbed of occultists, and Houdini and a lot of other people lived right up in that area. But it was a hotbed for occultism, and they developed. That's a whole story in itself.
Well, absolutely, they developed, Jordan. Just the artists, the legendary rock stars of today, all of them.
Exactly.
I mean, from Red Hot Chili Peppers to Jim Morrison, whose father was part of the Gulf of Tonkin. I mean, they all had military ties, and they all had this occult tie to what I believe in my research to the Process Church. It all goes back to that, I believe.
Well, I had a friend who passed away quite a few years ago. This is a long time ago, and he was a limo driver, and with the studios, and he was telling me. I used to go with him sometimes when he was driving movie stars around. But he was telling me that one time he got a call to pick up a very famous movie star. I'm not going to use his name. And he said that he had a couple of other people with him and picked him up at the airport to bring him back to Hollywood. And he said, and as they were driving back on the freeway, this very famous movie star asked the driver, because he knew him well, he said, "Who do you think is the most wealthiest man on the whole planet Earth? The most powerful, wealthiest man on the earth?" And my friend said, so I just give him the same name that any other goofball would. I said Rockefeller, and everybody else. The guys there laughed. They thought it was funny. I said the Rothschilds, and then they laughed again. They thought that was funny. And then the guy said, then the movie star said, "No, I'm serious. Who do you think is the most wealthiest, most powerful man on the planet?" And he said, "I have no idea." And he said, "Well, that's where we're going." He lives right here in Los Angeles in the Hollywood Hills off of Mulholland. And he's a German. He's the one that gave us the Germanic idea of Nazism. He's the guy who finances all of that kind of stuff for Adolf Hitler. We're going to see him today. And so he went on to telling me about all kinds of where this guy lived up in the mountains and of hills, in the hills of Los Angeles. But the point I'm making is that there's a lot of things going on this earth that we have no idea in the world where they come from, who did it, where it started, and so we just go along to get along and believe whatever we're given to believe, never realizing nothing is what you think it is. The whole thing is a charade and a show.
Tell me about it.
And it's always based on political power. Religion is simply a tool in the hands of the people who run the planet.
I mean, Hollywood truly is a freak kingdom, is it not, Jordan?
Well, of course.
I mean, let's look at let's look at the word
Well,
Hollywood itself.
Let's look at where the
Hollywood,
word
yes, yeah, that's exactly. You see, we're going the same place. The word Hollywood. Where is it derived from? Right,
it comes from in the ancient Europe,
the Druids.
before the Roman Empire existed, before Rome. In Europe, there was already a well-established peoples in Europe, and Central and Northern, well, all four, North, East, West, and Southern Europe. There were already lots of people there. And that system, before Rome existed, that system was called Druids.
Yes.
The Druidic system. The Druids were a Celtic or a Celtic peoples and European peoples. And in that system we called Druid. The Druids were the doctors, the lawyers, the politicians, the teachers, any position that was important in the ancient world in Europe was occupied by a Druid. Well, the Druids had a very important symbol that they carried with them always, and that symbol was a magic wand.
That's right.
Like today you have orchestra leaders who conduct their orchestra. They orchestrate the music, orchestrating with a magic wand.
That's right.
Just like Merlin the magician orchestrates his magic with a magic wand. That all goes back to the Druid magic wand of Europe. And so magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly bush, holly tree. And so it was always made out of a holly wood.
Right. I mean,
So
the Freemason used wands, right?
But I'm talking about an ancient, far, far before Freemasonry ever existed. I'm talking about a culture of people called the Druids, and they had a system of magic. And over that magic, they used a symbol to manipulate that magic called a magic wand.
Right.
And today, people do not realize that in Christianity and in Judaism, virtually every time you will see a picture or a sculpting or a picture of Moses, he always carried a magic wand. Anytime in the churches of Europe, throughout all of Europe, when you see sculpturings and pictures of Jesus doing miracles, he's always doing a miracle with a magic wand everywhere.
Right.
People do not realize that there are many sculpturings all over Europe and Christian cathedrals and churches showing or painted pictures showing Jesus doing his miracles with a magic wand. Go on the web and type in magic wands with Jesus or magic wands with Moses, and you will see all kinds of sculpturings where Moses is doing magic with his magic wand, or Jesus is raising the dead, or doing some incredible thing with his magic wand. Right. I am telling you that the entire story of Judaism and Christianity is Druidic. It goes back to the use of magic wands. Yes. All you've got to do is go on the web and type in image. Go to image and then type in magic wands with Moses, magic wands, and Jesus.
Right.
And then you will see all kinds. St. Peter was carrying a magic wand and did magic with his magic wand. But people are not told this kind of thing. They don't know anything about it. All they know is they go to church and have no idea in the world where church comes from.
Right. Where does the word church come from? I've heard you break that down before.
Yeah, well, people go to church and have no idea that the word church goes back to it's obviously an English word. C-H-U-R-C-H, church is English. But it is traced back to, in a dictionary, it goes back to Scotland. In Scotland, if you are a Christian, Sunday morning you're going to kirk, K-I-R-K. or K-E-R-K. Kirk can be spelled either way. This is why you have a Captain Kirk of the good ship Enterprise, taking mankind where he's never been before. Because that's what Captain Kirk is church in English. And that's why churches are an enterprise. That's why the spaceship is called Enterprise, because churches are divided into denominations, like 20s and 10s and 50s. It's an enterprise. It's a company. It's a corporation. It's money. It's political power and business.
Absolutely.
And so, and of course, the whole world is a business. You are a corporation. My God, that's so much people don't know. Did you know that you yourself are a corporation by law?
Absolutely. I'm being sold. You're being sold. We're all being sold on the Wall Street, New York Stock Exchange as collateral for the debt, Jordan.
That's exactly right. Let me go on
ahead.
with this.
Go ahead.
When I see you with some girl and I tell you the next day, you know, that girl you were out with last night, she's bad company. Company? Then you say to me, mind your own business.
That's right.
I'm going to get married. She's going to be my partner. Partner, business, company. We're talking business
all
here.
Business terms, yes.
It's all business terms. Why? Because getting married is simply a business.
Tell me about it.
And therefore, if the marriage doesn't work, it's all right. Businesses don't always work. So if the business doesn't work, it was bad business or it was monkey business. But it's none of my business. That's your business.
That is truly funny.
But if you're going to do business with somebody else, another corporation, you're going to have a license. So that's why you have to have a marriage license, because you're doing business. If you don't think you're doing business, then wait till it don't work out, because you're not going to God, you're going to court. Bring your car, your house, and your money. It's just business.
Oh, and there's so much of wordplay regarding. I've heard you break it down, the Watergate in court,
and of course.
I've heard it. You know, Jordan, I have a magic wand. Do you know that?
Well, I had one too.
I have a scalar wand. Actually, I've been looking into it. Actually, the tip of the wand is filled with quartz, and actually has healing energies. I mean, this is no joke. This is like Tesla technology, and it has cured me in the past. I remember last year, or close to 2 years ago, I had a steel beam literally fall on me. And I mean, I came, my wife saw me, and she saw I was literally a mess. I looked like one giant bruise. And Bruce looked like a bruise. So, you know, she gave me some of this treatment with the scalar wand. And, you know, wouldn't you know, I was like Superman a month, 2 months into it. It just went away.
I'm just telling you, there
Amazing.
Is something to all of this.
Magic.
Yep.
Incredible. Some incredible healing magic. Jordan, we were talking about Hollywood and the symbolism just surrounding Hollywood. The Oscars. The Oscar looks like the Egyptian deity Horus or Ptah, does he not?
Yeah, Ptah. Yeah. That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
And on my website, I've got a picture of the, what is it called? The Academy of Arts and Sciences. It's on my website. Anyway, It's called the Academy of Arts and Sciences or something. But take the first letter in each word, and it becomes Satan, Satan.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's on my website. So there's, like I said, there's interwoven into corporate logos, flags, coats of arms, halotry, seals, presidential seals, police department badges, fire department seals, all the seals and emblems and official, like I said, commercial logos for companies and corporations. All of these things are connected behind the scenes with occultism, occult religions, Secret societies, fraternal orders are operating right in front of you, and you don't even see it.
But you have to understand the language. You have to learn the language of symbolism, don't you not? Do you not?
That's right. That's exactly right. You have to learn the language and understand the symbolism, and that's what people do not know. Most people do not even realize there is a hidden world of communication among powerful people. When the President of the United States is talking, he is not talking to the country. He is not talking to Americans. He's talking to other leaders of the gangs. It's like gang leaders, and they're all talking to each other in their language, not yours.
They're all organized crime scum, and I'm just so sick of them, Jordan. I mean, seriously, I hate listening to politics. I'd much rather talk about what you and I are talking about. You know, I cannot stand talking about just who the president is, because at the end of the day, he's just a puppet. He's being told by the powers that be, what to do. He's just a puppet on a string.
Well, of course, but I thought everybody knew that.
That's right.
I mean, John F. Kennedy proved that. Here's John F. Kennedy back in the early 60s, who was handsome, debonair, incredibly wealthy, powerful young man with a powerful family behind him, becomes President of the United States and is well loved and respected around the world. He had everything, and yet they blew his head off in public.
Well, that was
nobody ever went to jail. Period.
That was a Freemasonic ritual, I believe.
Well, I don't know, but I'm making the point that you can be powerful, you can be wealthy, you can be important. It don't matter. There are powers above you that will kill you at a drop of a hat. Period.
Yes.
So just because you are Albert Einstein or a Rockefeller does not mean anything.
Well, like I heard you say, Jordan.
Above them.
I heard you say that it's the smart people that they go after. That if you're wise, you better smarten up and shut up sometimes, right? That's what they say. They go after the smart ones.
I didn't say that. The President of the United States said that. Mm-hmm. Woodrow Wilson, President of the United States, back in 1919, made the statement, public statement, that there is a power on this earth so awesome, so powerful, I'm paraphrasing.
That's right.
So awesome and so terrible and so profoundly powerful that if you're going to speak about it, you better speak under your breath so nobody hears you. Because if you offend them, you are dead. I don't care if you're the President of the United States, you're dead before the sun goes down. So there is a very powerful presence in the earth. That's where the real power exists. It does not exist in the U.S. government. It doesn't exist in Russia or in the Vatican. There's something else going on here that's manipulating all of it. And that's why the Apostle Paul in the Bible says we wrestle not with flesh and blood. We don't have a war against flesh and blood, but it's against principalities and dark evil forces in the world that you can't see. That's what we're really at war with.
Would those evil forces lead to Rome?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Rome is one of the three major divisions of that dark force. It's not the only one, but it's one of the earliest and most important factions of that dark power. But there's a power behind the Vatican.
Yeah.
The Vatican itself is not the power. The Vatican merely represents something that's behind it. Just like the president is not the power in this country, never has been. He merely represents a power source in Washington, D.C., but there's something that's behind it that he represents. He's not the power, but he represents the power. Well, the same thing with the Pope. The Pope is not the power. The popes can be killed. My God, there's been plenty of them killed. And some of them just get so dirty that they have to quit.
Jordan, you mentioned the Pope, and when he was here recently, I went to St. Patrick's Cathedral, I believe a week before the Pope was there. And I took a look around, and I saw so much occult symbolism, not just around Rockefeller Plaza uh, that has Prometheus and Atlas, but in front of the St. Patrick's Cathedral, and I made a video about this. There's Kali, there was Buddha. I mean, it seemed like the perfect place for the false prophet of hope, the false idol, this dope, to show up and give this just the perfect place for his idolatry.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first time the Pope came to New York after 9/11, the Pope came to Ground Zero. He came on the 20th of April, April 20th. April 20th is the day the Pope came to visit Ground Zero. I think that's interesting. April 20th, Hitler was born on April 20th.
Absolutely.
Does that tell you something? So,
wow.
And so,
and
why did they call it Ground Zero?
Exactly.
Why is that place in New York where the World Trade Center stood called Ground Zero?
Oh, it does tell me something, Jordan. It tells me that 9/11 was a Nazi job, and if we go back and we study who allowed the Nazis to escape persecution, escape justice, they escaped through the Vatican rat lines, through the Pope, through Pope Pius, who gave his final order and even initiated the death camps in the sequence of a pentagram.
Yeah.
And many death camps had this hidden symbolism. I saw a picture on your Jordan Maxwell Files profile page on Facebook. It had one of the concentration camps was actually the Eye of Horus.
Yep, you got it. That's exactly right. So all of this stuff is mixed in such a way that nobody sees it. That's why the Bible has...
It's terrifying.
That's why the Bible says that you look with your eyes, but you do not see. And you listen with your ears, but you do not hear. And with your heart, you do not get the sense of it. What it's saying is you're looking at the stuff every day, you're hearing it every day, and you don't get the sense of it. You don't see it.
Right.
That's why people today do not see what's right in front of them.
And that's funny because...
But the point I was making the point I was making about Ground Zero is that's a term used for the atomic bomb.
Wow.
The atomic bomb was where it was dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki and where it was tested in White Sands, New Mexico. They called that the term was Ground Zero. Ground Zero means where the atomic bomb blew up.
Absolutely.
Now, why would they call the World Trade Center area Ground Zero? Is that a message there? Are they telling you something? Ground Zero, atomic bomb?
Yes. Wow. The future plans, probably predictive programming for the future or today.
Well, it's the world we live in is just interesting. I mean, thank God. For me, people are always telling me, oh, well, people are waking up and things are going to be better. People are waking up. And to which I say that's what people normally do in prison, in Auschwitz and in prisons. People wake up every morning in prison.
Wow.
But just because they're waking up doesn't mean they're free and out of the mess. No, they're just waking up to find out they're locked in forever. So with the people who are waking up today to find out what's going on, they don't realize it's way too late. Way too late. So for me, the light at the end of the tunnel is a train coming. You should have woke up a long time ago. Back in the 1870s is when we needed to wake up.
Oh, yeah.
This stuff has been going on since the 1880s, 1870s. And it was going on in the 1840s before that's when all of this stuff that we're experiencing today started back in the 1840s, 1845. Go back and look at American history. That's when all of this dark stuff started happening. Right after the Republic was founded in 1776.
That's right.
There was a whole new thing happening. It was very evil. as far back as the 1840s. So people should have woke up a long time ago.
It's become a dire situation, Jordan,
Yeah,
and literally, there's no escape on Earth from the New World Order's electric eye. I mean,
there is no escape. Period.
Yes.
Locked in. Period.
And before we go, Jordan, it's been an epic All Hallows Eve with the legend himself, Jordan Maxwell, acclaimed researcher and scholar. Before we go, Jordan, I've always wanted to ask you this question. I've heard you say this phrase, the dawn of a new era. Can you explain that for us?
No. And the reason why is because it's a huge subject. It's enormous. And it's actually a dawn of a new day.
Dawn of a new day.
That's right. And that is a very big subject.
Then we'll talk about that definitely for next time.
That's going to take about 5 hours of video.
Wow.
You cannot discuss it.
Okay,
It's a kind of a subject that is so big you'd have to see it from the very beginning, going back to the Phoenicians, the Canaanites, the Assyrians, Babylonians, the Hindus.
Could that be
a very ancient subject?
Could that be? I mean, just to hint at it a little bit, just the symbolism in the Japanese flag pretty much hints at it, right? The rising sun, or the.
No, but it's a far bigger story.
Wow.
Far bigger. It goes back to the beginnings of mankind. It's a big story that no one has ever been told.
Amazing.
It's right there in front of you. Anyway, I'm going to have to go because I got a new show to do right now.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jordan, for being on. It's been great catching up with you. I feel so enlightened, and happy All Hallows Eve and festivities to you too. Thank you.
And go on my website, Jordan Maxwell Show, and join my research society. We'll talk later.
You got it. Take it easy, Jordan.
Bye.
That was the legend himself in the flesh, baby, Jordan Maxwell. This has been another episode of the Bruce Montalvo Show, reminding you that the freedom of the press is here and alive at the epicenter of cool Brooklyn, New York. I'm Bruce Montalvo signing out. Till next time.